Hi everyone, Courtney Gruenholz back here again to talk about the next book in my Heartsong Saga, which is actually a prequel. But first off, another heart t-shirt that I got off TeePublic. So, got a lot of neat things on TeePublic. But anyway, the next book in my Heartsong Saga that was published was the prequel novel, Starcrossed. Here is my own personal copy of it. So it's called actually a Heartsong novel, Starcrossed by Courtney Gruenholz. So it's kind of, a little bit dark. It's kind of not actually the way I actually wanted the cover to look. The Kindle version of the cover is the way I actually wanted it to look. So, and as you can tell, it is the thinnest one out of the 4 books that I have. Just fleshed out enough to be a pretty good copy. So, but still the thinnest one. So, these next books that I hope to get out in my Heartsong Saga, which are like midquels and take place in the middle and fill in all the gaps in the trilogy books that I have, they're going to be ranging from being like thin to really thick. So it's just the way the stories go. But so far this is the thinnest one and the shortest one at it has it with 223 pages. So maybe one day I'll flesh it out a little bit more. So Starcrossed is a prequel novel to my Heartsong Saga, and instead of focusing on Howard and Nancy Richardson and the members of Cataluna and everything that they go through, it takes place way before the timeline and focuses on both Nancy's parents and Howard's parents. So we start off focusing on Nancy's father and her uncle, who are fraternal twin brothers. So they're raised by a magic-using father and a mortal mother. And since they don't age, they end up having to go off separately on their own because they think it's for the best to protect each other. So Nancy's father, Desmond, comes to the New World and tries to discover the other roots of his family. So, and it's a mix of, magic users and non-magic users. So he ends up coming to, America and stays there for a while. And then it takes us to before the Civil War, where he ends up down in New Orleans working for a plantation owner as kind of keeping an eye on the overseer there, because the owner of the plantation is very money-minded, and so he needs Desmond to kind of like take charge. And that's where he ends up meeting Angelique, who is Nancy's mother, and they end up falling in love. So then it focuses on their story for a little bit, and then they end up in Russia around the time that Tsar Nicholas II and the Romanov family are getting ready to fall out of power, and they meet a girl there named Mariska and find out that she's a witch. And so they kind of take her under her wing when everything starts to go wrong. And then, of course, it's thinly veiled that this is actually Howard's mother, Marisol. So she ends up taking on different names and personas as the years go by because she doesn't age. So then it focuses in the late 1970s when it then turns more to focus to Howard's father, John. So he meets Marisol and they end up having a relationship, but because Marisol hasn't aged in a very long time, she kind of doesn't want to form a relationship with John. So she goes off. John becomes heartbroken. He joins the witch hunting organization known as the Sigma Chi's. So he starts hunting down witches because he's recruited by his friend Lyle Hammond, and he eventually runs into Marisol again, and Angelique and Desmond come back into the picture. So then it focuses on all four of their relationships and how they knew each other, and how we end up with some of the details that get talked about in the second and third books. So, and then of course my midquel books that I'm writing add a little bit more detail to that too, but it mostly focuses on everything that happens before Heartsong, and it leads up to the accident that ends up taking, John and Marisol Richardson's lives, and ends up leaving, Howard orphaned and in charge of his family estate, and then kind of how it leads into the first Heartsong book. So, I didn't want to be too spoilery if nobody's read my books, but I guess if you wanted to read my books, you could start by reading Starcrossed first, and then go into Heartsong, and then go through there. When I eventually get all my little midquill books done, I could probably go through and give an actual timeline of how you would want to read the books. But since there's so many gaps in Heartsong before you get to the actual linear timeline of Reprise, and then jump forward into the 20-year gap between Reprise and Rebirth, I'll try to get that straightened out a little bit. But so that's basically the prequel novel. Again, I can actually go and make videos in the future that are completely filled with spoilers and go through in detail about every single book. So, again, not really sure how to market myself as a self-published author who has no funds for any other way but sharing videos on YouTube and then sharing those videos to Facebook and Twitter and have other people share them. So it's the only way you're probably going to get to read my books is if I tell you about them or somebody else told you about them. So because they're not available to go pick up in an actual bookstore, you have to get it on Amazon, which is kind of how most books are nowadays anyway, or finding older books on eBay or something. So, but since it's nothing old, it's something kind of new. Word of mouth from my mouth is the only way anybody's going to hear about it. So again, if you watch this video and you would like me to talk in depth about my books, doesn't necessarily have to be when every single book's done, because technically they're going to be 5 midquill books, which are 10 stories. So it's going to be 2 stories per book, which I'm trying to finish up on writing the last one, but I'm going through and kind of proofreading the first one that I plan to put out, which I hope to have it put out next month. I don't know when next month, but sometime next month. So that's basically a rundown right now of the 4 books that I have in my Heartsong Saga. Heartsong, Heartsong Reprise, and Heartsong Rebirth, and Starcrossed. This one right here. So, again, little bit of a romance vibe to some of it, but I'm now just going to call it general fiction. But, when they ask you what category to put these books under, if you put it underneath general fiction, you're going to have to put it underneath some type of fiction. Western, sci-fi, romance, horror, something like that. So, romance, I guess it is. So, but, again, I have my books. I try to get them so that they're not really, actual romancy bodice ripper kind of chick books. So, I mean, if you can sit down and read Twilight or 50 Shades of Grey or any other kind of YA series that has kind of a romantic tone, and you're a guy, have at it. I don't see any problem with you reading it. I certainly had no problem with you reading it. And if you know somebody who would have a problem with you being a guy reading a romance novel, maybe you should kind of, I don't know, be your own person and do what you want to do. So I kind of go off on this little tangent. I didn't mean to. Just, again, trying to get people to read my books. You know, if I had money, I would send copies of my books to as many like booktube people that I think would give it a fair chance, but I don't. I only really have enough money to buy myself a copy so that I can have it for, you know, posterity. So that I can show it to my daughter and be like, Mom wrote this book. I wrote these books. One day she can read the books. So, not anytime soon, but just to say I wrote a book. So, again, very awkward about trying to promote yourself without sounding like, you know, go buy my book. So, but I guess that's pretty much all I can say about that for right now. Next video, I'm going to be talking about the only published book that I have right now that is not a part of my Heartsong Saga. It's a standalone book about vampires, and we'll get into that next time. So, until I see you again, I hope that you have a good day, and this is Courtney Gruenholz, the very awkward author, signing off on another video. Thank you.